this in a holy voice, Aaron.
Thus saith the Lord thy God, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Repent, the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Oh, if you're watching that channel, something's in hand.
Damn, Dad. Got him.
Of course, after this happened, the FCC started investigating. The FCC ended up convicting an individual named Thomas Haney of the incidents and arrested him, but Thomas claimed that he was innocent.
Now, something worth noting here is that Thomas worked for the Christian Broadcasting Network. Now, because of this, the Christian Broadcasting Network was involved in the criminal case, because they had to protect their boy in court. So the Christian Network came out and started making claims that the FCC's case against Thomas was entirely circumstantial, since there were no witnesses and the signal could not be traced to a point of origin.
During the investigation, experts on both sides attempted to recreate the incident with the Christian Broadcasting Network's equipment, and they were unsuccessful. The equipment did not have enough power for Thomas to jam Playboy's signal, but during the trial itself, the government witnesses said that the Christian Network station was capable of interfering with satellite transmissions.
Because of this, the jury at the trial was initially in a deadlock. Eventually, they ended up siding with the prosecution, which was the network, and convicted Thomas on 2 of the 6 counts. He ended up receiving 3 years of probation, a $1,000 fine, and 150 hours of community service.
Wow.
Imagine that. You're a Christian Broadcasting Network, and you send one of your employees to hijack the Playboy channel.
A lot of angry men out there, let me tell you.
Yeah, so I started looking into other broadcast interruptions, and there was quite a few that we didn't talk about in here. But for example, I want to say like in the early 2000s, the Disney Channel was interrupted for a little bit, and porn was played.
Oh, shit.
All right, so let's go on to our next strange fact and finding. Tell us about this one, Dan.
So our next strange fact and finding revolves around an old internet forum called the Tomes News Service. So 2 days after the hack on November 24th, 1987, some users on this forum were discussing the Max Headroom incident with awe and curiosity of how it was pulled off. At 6:18 in the morning, an individual with a user named The Chameleon commented on the Max Headroom discussion. The user said, and I quote,
"This morning on ABC's World News, there was a story about all the broadcast overrides. We've gotten WGN, WWOR, and the superstation out of Kansas, KTAT, I believe. The news said the FCC is looking into how someone could intercept broadcasts."
I've personally studied this for a long time, and believe me, it's not hard, especially overriding superstations. They showed a videotape of what was transmitted. It was a homemade Max Headroom. It was pretty neat. We'll strike again, I can guarantee it.
So that post is initially kind of confusing because he kind of puts some wording in there to make it sound like he's a part of a group.
Yeah.
And they're doing this, but then again, he makes it sound like he's outside of the group. It's very odd. So shortly after that post, a user by the name of Milo commented and responded to that post and said, "Who's we, lizard face?" Called him lizard face. So then another user said, "How did these dudes in Chi-Town, aka Chicago, do it? I saw the transmission. Was it an inside job, do you think?"
The user Chameleon then commented to that question about it being an inside job and said, and I quote, "Hardly an inside job. They just aim their transmitter at the same transponder that WGN uses and used a higher power. It doesn't even have to be significantly higher, just more, and the WGN signal will cancel out. As I said before, it's one of those things that doesn't work out on paper, but it works. Welcome to Earth, where everything you know is wrong."
So yeah, I thought that was weird that person mentioned that 2 days afterwards.
We'll strike again. I can guarantee it. It's like, it definitely makes it sound like they were part of it.
Mm-hmm. Or that they were just bragging about it.
Yeah.
And trying to get fame to say that they were the ones doing it. You can't trust people on the internet.
No, you can't.
All right, so our next strange fact and finding revolves around the actual video that was shown during the hijacking. Now, some individuals think that the video that was shown of the guy with the max headroom mask on was actually a live shot, that it was happening right then and it was live. However, over the years, many individuals have studied that footage and claimed that it was actually previously recorded on a VHS tape and then it was broadcasted. What many people point out is that the visuals in the interruption have glitches which were common with 1980s VHS tapes, which points to the fact that it was taped ahead of time on a home VHS cassette tape. And somebody just took that home VHS cassette tape broadcast and interrupted that network's broadcast, so it wasn't live.
As I read through some of the stuff, they said that even though it was two different interruptions, that it was actually part of like the same VHS tape, just different parts of it. Which, I mean,
Okay.
could make sense.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to get into some real juicy stuff, some theories. And we dove pretty deep on this to try to figure out who the hell was behind this incident, because it's still an unsolved mystery. And we wanted to be the ones who solved it, which you'll have to wait and find out because we're going to take a quick break. It's our last one.
I gotta pee.
Literally will take 30 seconds. We'll be right back. All right. Welcome back. All right, Dan. So tell us this first theory we have.
All right, so our first theory revolves about who was the culprit behind this Max Headroom incident. Now, over the years, a few names have continued to reappear in forums and Reddit threads. Among one of the most common names listed is an individual named Eric Fournier. So, Eric was a film director and music artist who was mainly known as the creator of a TV show character named Shane St. John. Now, this Shay St. John is a fictional model who was disfigured in a car accident and recreated with mannequin parts, and she appears in a lot of Eric's films.
Now, the first short film that she appeared in was called Strange Dolly in 1999. Now, this theory all connects, so just stay with us. We ended up finding a short clip of that film, and we'll have a link for it in the references, but just a fair warning, it is super, super weird. Probably one of the weirdest things I have ever watched in my entire life. So just a forewarning before you go and watch it. So we're going to watch that right now.
Dark. So sad. Effing retard. Effing retard. Precious doll. Kill. Precious doll. Kill. Precious doll. Kill.
Something strange is happening to Shay and her doll, Kiki.
They're just jealous of me. It's like a Kiki. Who cares your face is burnt? I love your burnt face. I don't care.
Kiki won't be satisfied until they all die.
Kiki, did you just say something?
For Kiki.
Officer, I think my burnt little doll that I bought.
He was trying to kill me in his film. Kiki.
I feel like that was some type of like mind programming